Hey guys, how's it going? Got a special video for you guys today, something a little bit different. I'm going to be playing up against Ninja Penguin here with his High Elves. I'm going to be the Norscans, led by Wolfric the Wanderer. So Ninja right here is someone who mentioned, down in the comments below my video, asking if I'd, play a few games with him, give him a little bit of advice and whatnot. Of course, I'm happy to play. So we did 3 games in total, so I'm just going to, show you guys all of those games in one go. So I've gone for the Norscans. This is a fairly close to the build I tend to use, so I've gone for a front line of Marauder Berserkers. These guys are great at tearing for, high health front line. They struggle against people like Swordmasters or anyone with too much armor. However, they do a pretty decent job at tearing apart low tier infantry. On the left hand flank, I do have a unit of Marauder Spearmen to help deal with some cav, and in the back, some Marauders with great weapons. These guys are here just to help give that extra punch to the front line. Now in the middle I do have 2 units of Marauder Hunters. I have slowly started to turn to using the Marauders with Javelins instead. These guys are the throwing axes and they look a lot cooler. I mean, they have the little throwing axes here, running into battle, very aggressive but very short range. Now over on the right hand side I do have 2 units of Norscan Ice Wolves. They're going to be, just trying to get in the flank, get on top of those squishy archers, the High Elves are famous for bringing. In the back, I have 2 units of Skin Wolves, which are armoured. These guys are great in general. They're fast, they're anti-large, and they have regeneration. However, they do have to worry a tiny bit in this matchup. Be a little bit careful, as High Elves can bring some, fire weapons like the big Phoenix, and, a few units have flaming swords and whatnot. In the very far back, I've been super sneaky in the trees here. I do have the Beast of Tashnar, these are Regiment Renowned version. I didn't realise quite how horrific they look until I did a replay of them the other day and actually zoomed in. These guys look crazy. But these guys, they're going to be in the back, trying to hop on archers, but they are also anti-large, which is a super nice thing to remember. Now, for Ninja, I forgot his name here. Is it Ninja King Penguin? I forgot your name. I'll double check afterwards. He's gone for a very this looks like a classic high elf formation right here. Very regimented, very organised. In the front line, he has 3 units of White Lions of Chase. They're pretty decent. I quite like bringing them with their armour piercing. Not sure if I'd bring them against Norscans, who tend to be quite lightly armoured, but they're a decent trooper overall, a lot more reliable than the Spearmen. Speaking of Spearmen, he does have 2 units on the flanks here, just protecting these archers. So he's gone for 3 units of these guys. Haven't brought any armor with them, which is fine. I mean, Norscans don't bring too much range normally. These guys are going to be very good at taking down the Berserkers if left unmolested. And in the back, he does have 2 units of Silver Helms, kind of your standard shock cav. They look very good and elegant, and they pack a decent punch. They don't want to stay in combat too long. Now, for leadership, he does have down here Tyrion on foot, which is quite surprising. Normally I take Tyrion on a horse for added mobility, but he'd be much harder to snipe out, in this format, and he's a little bit cheaper. And a Mage of Light here. Let's see what spells she's brought. So Brino's Time Warp, which is very good. That's going to make those White Lions a lot more tanky, or do a lot more damage in the front line. A Nerve Amontok and Fast Protection. Okay, so nice little buffs there. And a big Flamespire Phoenix up in the sky, who's going to be very good actually against the Skin Wolves. Although they are anti-large, so you have to be a little bit careful. You can do all sorts of nice stuff. The big Phoenix does have a rebirth ability where it gets below 10% health as a 50% chance of just getting a massive health regeneration. And it can also drop some fire poos on people. I'm not sure if I went over my leaders actually, my little 2 duo right here, so I'll just go over them quickly. You do have a Shaman Sorcerer of Death. But in Fate of Benuna, the big old purple sun, which used to be so powerful on tabletop against the Lizard Men, and Spirit Leech. And also I've gone for, obviously, Wolfric the Wanderer. I prefer him over Frog so much. He's got that ability to do a ton of damage in one go, really good at sniping out enemy lords, and it's a little bit harder to pin down and take down. Okay, without further ado, let's get this underway. So opponent does send out this Flamespire Phoenix into the front line just to do a bit of harass, and immediately tries dropping on top of the Shaman. That does a pretty decent amount of damage here. We are 2v1, so I'm going to pop back in. And Wolfric's going to get a big slap in there on the back of the big pigeon, try and scare it away. I'm going to drop in a small Spirit Leech on it. Probably not the best idea, as I think these guys actually do have. Let's have a look. Trying to get the card up here. There we go. I think these guys actually have magic resistance. I have a 12% ward save, and yeah, 12% damage resistance as well. So okay, overall, it's fairly tanky in general, and we can see it's floating around, dropping its little fire poos, doing a bit of early damage to these Marauder Berserkers. Now, I was so obsessed with this Flamespire Phoenix and trying to get my axe throws on it, they're actually struggling really badly to throw their axes. I think it's because of the limited range, obviously the Phoenix flying up in the air, that I got completely distracted, and these archers are tearing apart the Shaman Sorcerer here. Does have arrows all in one. There's that one right in his head there, a couple, but he's tanking them. As you can see, there's a massive wave of arrows right here. He's going to be, dodging and weaving now, trying to get out of range. And I'm thinking, screw this, this Phoenix. I'm just going to be advancing out, completely trying to ignore it as much as possible. And I really need to get into this front line. So you see that archers have done a huge amount of damage already to these Marauder Berserkers. And these guys are now going to struggle against the white lines, especially if those buffs are popped by this mage over here. The Beasts of Tashnar are in the back, just biding their time, waiting for these silver helms to move away, so I can pop in the back on these tasty archers. We do have a couple of Norscan Ice Hounds make it round the flank. However, my opponent does respond very quickly with the Silver Helms, and they're going to be charging in, and they've also got a very nice engagement here. They should be able to tear apart these Hounds fairly quickly, especially with that big charge damage. However, the Skinwolves do see this. They see their smaller brethren struggling, and they're going to be running in there, and they'll be really good against the Silver Helms. Great Sunfang coming down from Tyrion here, absolutely just destroying my right flank here. One unit's already broken, and this unit is really not that far behind them. The front line, I do drop a Fated Unit down on these white lines, just to help out these Mordors a great weapon, to help them tear their way through. And the left flank is going a lot better. We've kind of overloaded it a little bit on the left side. These Spearmen are really unfavourable engagement against Berserkers, and Wulfric is leading these Skinwolves in on Tyrion, and I have managed to actually compromise a unit of archers here in the back. So we also have the Beasts of Tashnar who have swooped around down in, and they've already managed to break one unit of archers, and in the back the Skinwolves have managed to assist the Norscan Ice Wolves and be tearing down these Silver Helms fairly comfortably, while their smaller brethren are going to be running in onto the back of these archers. So you can see one unit of archers is running for the hills, and these two are already compromised with the big old Norscan Hounds, or not lions? Big old wolves, sorry. Wolves on this side, and the Norscan Warhounds on this side, munching on some nice, juicy elfin flesh. So the main fight's not going too bad for me on this left side. The elves won the right flank, but as you can see, a couple of units are returning. And on the left, on the back line's actually really going quite badly for me. These Silver Helms have got round the back, and with this Phoenix, they're going to just destroy these Royal Hunters fairly comfortably, probably chase them off. It's all about the left-hand side for me. We've broken through comfortably. As you can see, I've got these Shaman chasing off these white lions. Skinwolves are in fact chasing off the Silver Helms. And we have Tyrion fairly isolated. However, he's a very powerful combatant in his own right. He'll stand up fairly well to Wulfric, but Wulfric is also popping down his buffs. And together with his Skinwolves should do a decent amount of damage up against Tyrion. However, the big old Flamespire Phoenix does come in to try and rescue his master, and he's going to do a ton of damage against his Skinwolves while weak to fire damage. Now, it looks like I managed to win that middle pocket just about with these Marauders. Given all they had to defeat these white lines, and unfortunately for them, they've now got a brand new wave of spearmen running on them, so they really don't want to fight. I mean, they've got a good match up there, but they're just so heavily outnumbered. Then in the back, my opponent's done a really good job with these Silver Helms, just clearing up, the scraps that are trying to run back in. So, there's quite a close battle. The power balance is slightly in my favour, but it's all to play for at the moment. The Silver Helms do come charging in the back to do a bit of shock damage against me. However, they are charging spearmen, who if these Silver Helms, spend too long time in combat, will start to struggle. There's giant, wars running around here as well, who are anti-large, so they want to do a little bit more hit and run, get out a little bit quicker. Big Sunfang coming down here by Tyrion. This is his second one, this will be the last of the game. And it just does huge damage against his Marauder Spearmen. Does actually in fact rout them, and just does huge amounts of damage to them and some of the wolves. Tyrion does almost stand alone though. This Phoenix is starting to struggle. I'm not sure if it's quite below 10% health yet. It doesn't quite look like it, so I'm not sure if it's going to get its big kill. And all my units that are running away, however, are starting to rally. There's not too much left for the High Elves to chase me down with. He does have these Silver Helms, but he's having to commit them to this centre fight to try and save Tyrion. So every time something runs away, it is simply going to be coming back to me. Over on the right-hand side, we do have a few of my units rallying, and I believe the same on the left-hand side. They're pretty, damaged and broken, but they can get back and do a little bit. We do have a little ship come down by Wolfric, tearing through these spearmen. Not the best angle, but I just wanted to do a bit of damage where I could. Tyrion is standing alone here, and we can see that the Phoenix has fallen. It did not get its rebirth, which could have been huge. Imagine a fully healed Phoenix right now. It could do a ton of damage to these units. The Silver Helms do come crashing in at the same time as these spearmen, and they do a decent amount of damage. These spearmen are perfect for taking out these skin wolves. However, they are armoured. Spearmen don't have the best AP. And we have a fairly healthy unit of White Lions also coming crashing in. And this is the big decider really here. It's quite even. However, my opponent just didn't have enough to chase down my routing troops this late. And we can see they are running back in, and they do a decent amount of damage. You know, they might break and run, but at least they've distracted these Silver Helms from the main fight. And it looks like they might actually be able to tear them down just through sheer weight of attrition. Nice little spin move by this Marauder here. However, he does get poked down for his efforts. The Shaman's just sitting on the edge of the battle, just, you know, trying to get a little bit more winds of magic. And he's going to be popping down whenever he can Spirit Leeches on top of Tyrion. With some archers rallying in the back here. And we've got the Silver Helm just crashing into these spearmen, who did try and brace just about in time. There's just not really enough for them to do too much. Skin Wolves do run away, but once again they should probably be coming back if they can get a bit of distance between the Spearmen and White Lions. It looks like they're about to rally actually, their morale is going up slightly. And the Shaman, he's just going, he's charging into back. He's actually a pretty decent combatant for just being a mere human on his little horse. And it looks like this main pocket has been won by us as Tyrion is starting to run for the hills. He's quite low, he's got 500 health. He's just trying to, you know, you reunite all the elves. They are trying to rally in all directions. These archers could be pretty good firing against these berserkers who don't have the best armour. However, it looks like the Skin Wolves do have their number and they're going to be chasing them down. They're so close to breaking here. Their leadership is only at a 10. They are charging it. They just about get in as these archers loose one last volley. And they're just going to tear these archers apart. It does not matter how, you know, weak these guys are in hit point wise. They're just going to tear these archers apart who do instantly shatter. Now over in the main fight, the Shaman does break, but so do these Spearmen. They in fact shatter. And it looks like Tyrion also shatters, being chased off by Wolfric. And there it is, a Pyrrhic victory. A super close and fun game. Let's go to the end stats. There's your name, Ninja Ping Vim. That's going to get me a little while to get used to saying it. A very good game, super close game. I really like his build. It was very organised, you know. It was very small and quite a tight build, which can work really well. However, I went wide, trying to wrap around those flanks and get on top of those archers. Great early play by the Phoenix here. Really distracted me. I haven't had to deal with that too often. And it got in there and did a decent amount of damage. And these Axemen just did not have the range to get on top of this guy. Javelins probably would have been much better. Great Silver Helm play as well, especially by this second unit. The first one got caught out a little bit by the Skin Wolves and chased off. But the second one, I'm really going for those hammer and anvil tactics. Every time I had a big blob of units, you know, wrapped around Tyrion, these guys would come crashing into the back, doing huge shock damage. He'd then pull them away and do the same again. So great play by them overall. Super close game. 106 kills by Tyrion, mainly from his Sunfang. But I've just managed to pick it. I think the main decider here was the Norscan Wolves. So this unit here, and also the Beast of Tashna. These guys went undetected, and once they got on top of those archers, they just tore them apart. They then bounced around the battlefield, chasing off routing units to ensure they couldn't come back. I mean, these archers, they did a decent amount of damage on their own anyway, not against the lightly armoured berserkers. But just imagine if you had one or two of these units at that last, you know, kind of 2 or 3 minutes of the battle. There's that big blob fight, the big decider with Tyrion in there against Wolfric, and all these berserkers and spearmen. Imagine if you just had a few units of archers firing into that. I think it probably could have turned the tide. However, it didn't quite have enough to protect them, and these wolves did manage to hunt them down. But either way, very close game. I actually think if this Phoenix did get its 50% chance to heal up, that he probably could have turned the battle and probably could have gone for a win. So very well played to my opponent there. Now let's go into the second game. So let's come down. As you can see, I've got a ton of replays at the moment. I've been playing a ton of games in the last couple of days. Let's hop straight into this one. So this time, Ninja Penguin is going to be bringing the Tomb Kings. Now this is a matchup I normally hate when I'm playing the Lizardmen, so I have gone for a very different build to the one I was using before this. And if you've seen my Slan game that I put up probably a couple of days ago now, you'll see this is kind of the transformation phase. It's halfway towards that build, but still with some of my original units. So I've gone for a big front line of Saurus warriors. A lot of them have chevrons, and they're all shielded. So when you come up against Tomb Kings, they don't have the best infantry. So Saurus should be, as elite as you really need to tear through them. However, they do have a lot of range firepower, and also a lot of big, nasty monsters. So I'm just going to try and overwhelm them. On the left-hand flank, I do have triple gold chevron Saurus spears to try and deal with some of those constructs. And in the back, the Legion of Shakwa, who also have, that anti-large spears. They should be pretty decent at taking down those big, nasty constructs, big sphinxes and so forth. And they also have the Shield of Shakwa to give that 44% missile resistance to these guys near them when activated. Now I do have the Umbral Tide, so it's a little bit scary normally bringing dinosaurs against Tomb Kings, because people love your Shopti Great Bows, and I just hate facing them. They're so good at sniping down, big expensive units or big dinosaurs. But these guys I think are still a good pick, mainly because they've got the ability to stalk. So these guys, they can't be seen from far away. They also get perfect Vig, which is nice. So they get nice and close, and they've got that anti-large fire damage, which is perfect against Tomb Kings. Now over on the right hand side, I do have a little flying course, so I've gone for a red-crested skink chief, nice, cheap and cheerful, just up here flying on his, not pterodon, closodon, and also closodon hunters right here, the Ripidactyl Regiment Renowned. That's what it's called, a Ripidactyl, so not a closodon. These guys are the closodons. For their anti-large, they're going to be pretty decent at taking down big constructs if I can keep them safe from your Shopti bows. I was hoping, they're flying, might be able to, dive and dodge and all that kind of good stuff to try and survive and escape. I also have a Skink Priest of Heavens right here. So let's see what he's bringing into the party. So he has gone for the Curse of Midnight Wind, so minus 30 armor and 26 melee attack. Big old Wind Blast, which is pretty decent against tightly packed formations. Harmonic Convergence, and those are it for his spells. So this is, really trying to debuff the enemy and pimp up my front line, turning these Saurus warriors, who are pretty decent in their own right, into absolute killers. Let's go have a little look at my opponent. So again, he's gone for quite a tight build. I think this is his favourite way of playing. And he's gone for a fairly cheap front line of skeleton spearmen. They'll be able to hold the line for a little bit though, and most of his power's in this back line here. So he does have the giant, the Sphinx of Yuskef, I'm going to say. But it's the Necro Sphinx anyway, Regiment Renowned Sphinx. Very scary anti-large beast, going to be very hard to take down. He does have 3 units of skeleton archers, which would be pretty decent. And also my most hated units, the 3 units of Shopti Great Bows in the back here, including the Chosen of the Gods. These guys are very scary, super accurate, super huge damage bows there. In the very back, he does have a slightly more elite little unit here to hold the back line. The Tomb Guards with halberds. And he has gone for the Grand Master himself, Katep, on his, I don't even know what to call this, Casket of Souls, I guess? I mean, it's got flying bugs around it. I have no idea how, logically this thing moves, but it's Warhammer, who cares? It's got these swirling skulls and bones, which project him, push him round the battlefield. Unfortunately, we did forget to switch the map in all 3 games, so apologies, you're going to be seeing this map quite a lot. But it's a very nice map, it's got chances for Vanguard and some kind of sneaky, maybe arch units up on top of this big hill here. So let's get it going. So of course we're moving forward as fast as possible. And he's actually coming out to meet me a little bit. He definitely has the range advantage, and these bowmen are very scary. I move my little death squad up here. I was going to try and get a Wind Blast down on top of these archers while they're still in this formation. So I do pop that down, and as you can see, the Skink Priest is moving a little bit closer. You can see shots coming in as well from Hotep there. His whole army is starting to reposition, which unfortunately for me, I didn't manage to cancel my Wind Blast in time, so it was no longer in the perfect way of tearing down his ranks, but it does do a little bit of damage. However, the return fire, all you Shopti Great Bows have turned to fire on this guy, and as you can see, they're just starting to do some huge amounts of damage. He is rather squishy, the Skink Priest. He's almost down to half health already, and he's holding on morale-wise there. He's popping up a little bit. However, I think he is about to break if memory does serve. There we go. He does indeed start to rout there. He's going to be running off. He should be coming back, but he is fairly healthy and there's nothing to chase him down. The Umbral Tide are getting a bit overzealous here. They were trying to get on top of this Sphinx. They will be pulling back in a second. As you can see though, a big tornado, little sandstorm tornado does pop down here. All the skulls flying up. However, it doesn't really seem to do too much damage to these Saurus Warriors. Now we are closing in all sides. Saurus Warriors just running as fast as they can, holding up their shields. These shields will do pretty decent against the archer fire. However, those Ushopti bows will tear these guys apart, regardless of the kill. These guys are running it. Looks like they're pretty beat up. The Sphinx does go charging into these Saurus Warriors. However, Umbral Tide have formed into a weird column formation. Are going to be shooting and doing quite a lot of damage. This is the perfect target they really want to get onto. The front lines do come slamming in. However, my opponent is dropping some debuffs down here. It's going to be the incarnation of desiccation, I believe. Minus 26 melee attack and 27 melee defense, making these guys a lot more squishy. In the back line, the Red Crested Skink Chief does drop down on these Ushopti, and the Colossadon hunters are trying to chase off these other Ushopti and send them running for the hills as the Saurus do start to break into the back line. Unfortunately, the Red Crested Skink Chief has got held up on this one Ushopti here. I'm rapidly clicking over here trying to escape. There's one brave Ushopti who's having none of it, pinning him in place. The big Sphinx did a ton of damage to this guy and he is starting to run already. The Umbral Tide, still doing their very strange formation, have switched targets. They're going to be popping onto the Grand Hierophant there, Cadet. Probably getting a lot of these names wrong. Do feel free to correct me down below. Good old Wind Blast coming in as well, kind of helping wreck this left flank. And these guys are actually doing a huge amount of damage to him here. He is rolling away as fast as he can on his little floating mattress of skull. But he's not going fast enough. He is rather slow and there's a lot of shots coming in. And these Saurus of Spears, this gold chevron unit, do notice him isolate and they're going to be popping in doing a huge amount of damage. In the back line, the Colossadon hunters have popped onto some Ushopti, which is where they want to be. Has this big Sphinx having none of it. He's popped in to help bodyguard them and he's going to be tearing these guys apart rather nicely. They have, however, popped their Toad Rage, so they're going to be doing a ton of damage. They are rampaged. Now the front line is going very well for me as expected. We are really hammering these skeleton spearmen quite badly all across the field, and these Umbral Tide are firing in. It looks like the Red Crested Skink did actually run off the field. However, in vengeance and return, the Umbral Tide and these Saurus spearmen do bring down Concept himself. His casket's still left here, but there is none of him left, and these guys are now into the back line. They're going to be munching onto the skeleton archers. However, there's still a lot of Ushopti around and this big nasty Sphinx. I am not 100% sure what this Colossadon hunter is doing right here. This is the rub up against the tree maneuver to intimidate these enemies below. However, the rest of his unit has fled and running off the field. The Umbral Tide me popping some shots against the Sphinx. They did run through the front line, which is pretty flimsy at the moment, and they are going to be running back as well as he does try and charge in. Spearmen here are doing a great job taking down one unit of Ushopti, and this other unit, which has been summoned, aren't faring too well. These guys are anti-large, and they should do a pretty decent job. The Ushopti will do a ton of damage back as well. We have one unit of Saurus Warriors chasing down the enemy on this flank. These Ushopti are running away, so I'm assuming they're still on the skirmish mode. These archers aren't quite so lucky, and they're just going to get wrecked quite comfortably by the Saurus Warriors. This plucky skink priest has managed to survive so far. He's been floating around, dropping buffs where he can. And this Sphinx did, run into the front line, thought better of it, realising that is the Legion of Shakwa here, who have dropped their missile resistance, just in case any of these Ushopti do try and fire in. The Umbral Tide are going to be on the warpath, they're going to be hunting down this Sphinx, likewise with all these units here. The front line for Tingans has completely crumpled. All the middle has lost, the right has been lost, which is allowing these Saurus to break into the back line, and the left flank is just about to fall as we speak. Now that's another two rather healthy units of Saurus Warriors who are going to be able to run into the back here. And Ushopti aren't bad in combat, but they're quite few model size, and they will get dragged down by all these Saurus Warriors. It is looking fairly decent for me, however the power balance is very even. If anything, it's actually in favour of the Tomb Kings right now. That's probably because they still have a rather healthy Sphinx here. The Chosen of the Gods, I think, are still kicking right here. And a lot of these big expensive Ushopti units. However, they are being chased away. two Unitosaurus are chasing down the Shopty here. Looks like one's actually going to switch target. They're coming back to this main blob. And the Umbral Tiger just doing a real big number over on the Sphinx. He's trying to run away, trying to find a home of, better engagement to fight. But wherever he goes, he's just being bogged down by Saurus Warriors. And these Salamanders, they're pretty damn fast. And they're just constantly running in, dropping these flaming shots down. Doing a very, very decent amount of damage right here. As you see, he is starting to break. Critical binding is happening, and he's starting to lose some health. On the left-hand flank, these Saurus have decided to munch on these skeleton archers, and they're just going to get torn apart. This other unit is going to try and chase down the Chosen, the gods, who are fairly healthy. They're going to struggle to take these guys down, but through sheer weight of numbers, they should do a pretty decent job. The Umbral Tide are firing in, and it looks like the Sphinx is just about to drop. It'd be interesting to see how much the power balance does change, which is now slightly in my favour. As you can see, I still have 579 to the left, up against the 35. We have the massive numbers advantage. The Sphinx, let's see what happens when it dies. It's going to die very shortly, but its health is just dipping down massively now. The power balance, as it goes down, is a bit and slowing even more in my favour. I wonder if when it dies, it's going to be a bit of an avalanche. Let's find out. He's down just to 900 health now. Going down, and gone right there. Health balance does do a big old leap in my direction, as he does come crashing down. And all that is left to my opponent is the Ushopti Great Bows over here, who are slowly going to get pulled down. And on the left-hand flank as well, these Ushopti aren't having a great time up against these triple gold chevron spears, who are anti-large. They'll be able to poke these guys down fairly comfortably. And of course, every Ushopti which falls, it damages their output a huge amount, so there are not many of them. With the Saurus, we have plenty of Saurus. In fact, we still have over 500 left on the field. And with that, it looks like my opponent's army is going to start to crumble and break there. Let's just speed it up a little bit and go for a close victory. So let's go through the end stats. So very well played once again. Fairly close game, not quite as close as the previous one. However, Ninja Penguin did a fantastic job of really, taking out my leadership early on. May have been a little bit of, me being overzealous as well, but still credit where credit is due. These Ushopti Great Bows were a huge problem. They managed to, take out the Red Crested Skink Chief, who got 0 kills. They wrecked his Colossodon Hunters, who only got 1 kill. And this Skink Priest had to be super careful after taking that early volley. I believe at the very end he did actually break and run away again as well. He might have been flown around in the back, but I'm not 100% sure. But great, great play there, taking these guys offline. However, these big, chunky Saurus Warriors, they just had nothing to stop them. They smashed through these Skeleton Spearmen. You can see between them, 7, 2, 3, 5 is just nothing. With that many Saurus left on the field, they're just going to overwhelm these bigger units. The Shopti aren't bad fighting in combat, the Great Bow versions, but they will get dragged down by sheer weight of numbers. And the Umbral Tide were fantastic, really helping to take out Kontep here, or Katep, and doing a great number on the Sphinx as well. Or Sphinx, sorry, not Phoenix. Just got flashbacks to that Flamespire Phoenix in my mind. They're doing all that damage to me. But the Necro Sphinx here did get taken down by Umbral Tide. So overall, my army was quite well designed for taking down Tomb Kings. And I believe this is the way to go. I mean, maybe Aslan as well. However, he could be picked off by the, Ushopti Great Bows. But just going mass Saurus, going really wide and really dominating that infantry fight. I do think Ninja Penguin's build would have been fantastic against my, the classic Lizman build I used to bring, with loads of big dinosaurs and really elite troops. Because these Ushopti would just been able to shoot down Temple Guard all day, and also take down big dinosaurs along with this big Sphinx right here. So we have one more game for you guys. It is 2-0 so far. Let's see if Ninja Penguin can bring it back. So let's go down, where is he? Right here. So, Ninja Penguin is going to be bringing the Wood Elves, a big favourite of mine. I love the Wood Elves thematically, I think they're great. They're going to be led by big old Durfu right here. And I'm going to be bringing the Beastmen, led by Morga right here. And this is a build, a really old school build I've been using for a long time now. Quite a few weeks since I started. I think I've been making videos maybe a month now, possibly. Not 100% sure. And I use this build, in the first week. It's my anti-Skaven build normally, but it tends to do quite good against lightly armoured, range factions. much like the Wood Elves. Now, I'll very quickly go through because the battle does get underway quite quickly. So, going for a front line of Gore Herds with shields, great against archer units, and they're fairly cheap. So, you can also eat Eternal Guard quite quickly, including the Blackhorn Ravengers over here, the Regiment Renowned version. In the back, we have 2 units of Razor Gore Herds. These guys are quite good at actually taking down Wood Elf Cav, if they can catch them, that is. We have Morgur the Shadowgave with all his buffs and nasty summons, a Brave Shaman of Death with Spirit Leech, Febuna, and the, what's it called, Aspect of the Dread Knight to cause a little bit of terror. I do have 2 units of Harpies on either flank, 2 units of Centaurs right here, 1 standard and 1 the Regiment Renowned Sons of Goros with their great weapons. They're going to be really useful for taking down, Tree King, and they just kind of pack a punch. Now we've got a ton of Vanguard in as well. We've got some Chaos Warhounds over in the flank, a couple of units of Centaurs, and all the way over in the distance here we also have some Chaos Warhounds with poison. So my opponent once again has gone for a quite tight build. This is the format he tends to favour, looking very regimented and very nice. Now here's a really cool pick here. So he has the War Dancers, the combat variety, the dual wielding swords. These ladies are going to be fantastic at absolutely smashing those Gore Herds. However, they are lightly armoured, so will take a bit of damage back in return. He has a unit of Wild Hunters in the front line, the Regiment Renowned version. Big Durf with all kind of manner of nasty spells right here, including his sword. He's going to be super tanky. It's very nice to see him played. I haven't actually faced him yet, I don't think. In the back, he does have 3 units of Glade Guard with the Starfire Shafts for a bit of extra damage, and 2 units of Treekin, which are, big roadblocks. They don't do too much damage, but they can take a ton. So let's get this underway. Now he is charging in with these Wild Hunters, trying to get a nice bit of early damage. However, I was so confused. He took a ton of damage on the charge in. I thought he would just absolutely ruin these guys very quickly. But it looked like he took a full volley in the back from his own forces. Quite a lot of friendly fire coming in. These guys are down to half health, and they are not a cheap unit. And the Razor Gore Herd are running them. And with their armor piercing, they're going to be able to pick these guys apart quite easily. These guys don't have much armor. They are taking quite a lot of friendly fire. However, they did manage to almost break this unit of Gore Herd as well. That's a very good early engagement for me. The Gore Herds have smashed into the front line. However, as you can see, they are taking a ton of damage. They are getting mulched through by these ladies. They're getting absolutely ruined. The Harpies do pop in on the back here, trying to shut down these Glade Guard, who are doing a huge amount of damage. They're archery, and you really need to shut them down quickly. These Razor Gore Herds are getting debuffed by the Sword of Death and the Curse. So, these guys are pretty much useless at the moment. Durfu is going to be tearing them apart, and they have Rampage, so I can't really get them out of there. However, they have done a big number on the Wild Hunters over there, or Wild Riders. So the front line's gone pretty well for my opponent, however the back line is disastrous. So all these Centaurs have come crashing in, and Tree King, they stand for a long time, however they don't do enough damage back, and with the help of Poison Warhounds over here, and the Sons of Goros on this side, these Tree King will slowly get dragged down. Harpies are doing pretty good work on these Glade Guard, just shutting them down and starting to rout them off the field. Now sheer weight of number, including Chaos Spawn and Morga himself, are helping to break down these War Dancers slowly. You see this unit is running, and this one isn't faring too good. The Brave Shaman is holding up this left side. It's not a fight he wants to stick in. He will eventually start getting dragged down, but it looks like they're trying to surround him, and he's trying to just trot out there as fast as possible. I do have a few units who did run away over on the flanks, but they are starting to rally. Beastmen are one of those factions who, they run away, but they tend to come back quite a lot. They do enjoy the fight a bit like Greenskins. They do like getting back into the fray. Now, my Shaman did get captured here by Durfu, and Durfu is pissed. He's seen his fellow trees getting cut down in the background, and he's just going to be cutting this guy down with one big pimp slap right there by his branches that came flying out of his hand. He does absolutely slap that guy. I believe he's actually killed him now. Oh no, there he is, but he is just completely shattered. Now these Harpies are doing a great job. What I love doing with Harpies is really important for new players. If you see, fairly expensive units, or even cheap units if you have them spare, running for the hills and routing, just chase them down with the Harpies, finish them off, try and shatter them, or at least escort them off the field. See a lot of these War Dancers, they did fight, to the death pretty much. But they have started to shatter, including these Wild Riders over on the right-hand flank. These Tree King have been holding for a long time, however, this unit here is routing, and there's just no chance of them rallying and coming back. these harpies are going to just chase them down, hop on top of them and do a decent amount of damage. Razor Hoods are getting another armor piercing to help out. It looks like both units, even though this one did get a little bit of pimp from Durfu, are starting to rout, and there's not much chance of them really come back. My opponent's got one pocket of strength, as the power balance is heavily in my favour now. Is Durfu and these War Dancers. These Razor Herd did charge in to try and get a bit of damage, but they have started to shatter. So as we can see, the Harpies are doing their job, just chasing down these War Dancers. They've been popping between the two, just constantly breaking them, trying to shatter them. In the back, it does look like this unit of War Dancers is shattered over here. One unit of Tree King may have been completely gone, and this one is routing. Great Sword of Death though by my opponent here, doing mass damage to this big blob. Great catch there, getting some great value. Now Durfu is very tanky, however. I don't have too many answers to him. I don't really have much armor piercing yet left. I do have these Razor Herds, but you know, they're pretty beat up and damaged themselves. I have no magic left. You know, my Shaman has run away, so I don't have any of those Spirit Leeches. Maybe the Sons of Boros, but if Durfu can stand and fight, if he can weather the storm and keep dropping those big swords a day, he's got a really good chance of just slowly grinding his way through these mass forces. The one thing going against him here, however, is I'm using these Warhounds, hopefully when they rally, and these Harpies just to chase down all these units. So the power balance is ebbing massively in my favour now. And I'm really just trying to shatter Durfu. I don't think I may be able to drag him down. I mean, Morga's, you know, he's no slouch in combat either. And just maybe from constant cycle charging from the Centaurs, we will be able to break his health down. But I'm going to suffer huge losses. He is a big terror-causing monster, so these guys don't have the best leadership. They are going to start running away if, you know, somehow my opponent does manage to take down Morga, but he is very tanky in his own right. And as you can see, his leadership is starting to go down here. I have reorganised my troops, so I am fully surrounding him now. You know, these guys weren't doing too much over here, so I've wrapped them round. Harpies are coming crashing in. Looks like one unit of Tree King is trying to pod its way across, but they're going to be far too late, as everything just bundle around Durfu here. We are going to be pulling him down here, and you know, he still has a ton of health. He's still got all his spells, and there's not much damage I can do. I'm slowly withering him down. I mean, being fully surrounded, his melee defense will be cut in half by anyone attacking him from the back, but he does break there. But that is a Pyrrhic victory, so let's go to the end stats. So very well played by Ninja Pingvin there. Great set of 3 games. I did manage to squeeze in and win all 3 of them, very luckily for me. But that first game was very 50-50. I think he was very unlucky not to win it. It really came down to that 50-50, you know, flip of the coin. This one was a little bit less close. Well, actually, saying that, he did manage to, you know, crush the front line. But I just had so many troops left. I do quite like his army though. The War Dancers are a great pick. I didn't think about them. They will just tear apart, you know, almost all Beastmen infantry. Be interesting to see them up against Bestigors though, as Bestigors do have, you know, a lot of armour. Unfortunately, he just didn't have enough to protect these Glade Guard. Once again, you know, the Harpies just popped in. You know, the circle just slowly tightened around his forces. I managed to isolate these Tree King. If they managed to stand their ground, possibly next to Durfu, or saturate them in with the War Dance to make like a Death Star, this could have been a really, you know, tough army to take down. But luckily for me, I managed to isolate a few of the units, and then I just have so many skirmishes you can hunt them down and ensure they don't come back. So overall, hope you guys enjoyed. That was a nice bit of a different format here, 3-game series. Video's a little bit longer, but I might be trying to do these once every 2 weeks with people who watch my videos. So if you want to get involved and do a couple of games against me, it'd probably be a set of 3 most weeks. Let me down below. You know, I'll happily hop in and hopefully also face Ninja Pingvin again sometime soon. I'm happy to also, you know, just give advice and whatnot if you guys want it, so don't feel like you need to have played a ton of games. Or if you have played a ton of games and you just want to come over here and crush me and put me in my place and avenge the mighty Ninja Pingvin, feel free. So just comment down below if you want to do that. I'm probably going to be doing these once every 2 weeks and then interchanging with the campaign. The Skaven campaign, I do have them going. It's going to continue to run, but campaigns aren't the most popular videos. It tends to be the multiplayer, so I'm going to be doing that every 2 weeks instead of every week. Now lastly guys, this video is running a bit long, so I'll try and wrap this up. I do have a tournament, Death Before Dishonor, which is going to be hosted on the 19th, so it's going to be live streamed here on the channel. Not expecting a ton of people to come in and check it out, but it would be really nice to get a few of you guys, you know, into the tournament, and hopefully, you know, if it does get a little bit of traction, it'd be a weekly event. So it's a midweek tournament. It's going to be about 8 p.m. I think British time. So just message down below if you do want to get involved. No need for any experience. It's going to be good fun. A small 4-man tournament. If it goes well, we might expand that to 8-man in the future, and so on and so on. And you start adding in prizes and whatnot. So I hope to see you there, guys. Peace, peace. See you next time.